Hey guys, I just wanted to offer some pointers on what I discovered with the Steadicam Merlin that I have as I went to do a shoot with it. And I know, like a lot of you out there, I got a Merlin and just found it super difficult to balance when I first got it. And as a result, it sort of ended up in a bag for about a year and a half before I really sat down and figured it out. So what I wanted to do was sort of share my experience with it. I'm not an expert by any shape or form, but there's certain things that I found that really made it work for me, and I figured, I'd show y'all kind of what I did. The first thing I would say is this. The Merlin is super steady, and it's super, super sensitive. So one of the first things you need to do, guys, is take off your camera strap. I really wasted a lot of time trying to get this thing balanced with a camera strap on, and there's just no way it's ever going to happen. My discovery with this is the Merlin, the balance on this thing is so sensitive that your on and off switch on your camera, whether it's flicked to on or off, is going to affect the balance of the camera. So something as random and as much distributed weight as a camera strap is never going to help you. So you need to take the camera strap off first. The second thing I would recommend is go ahead and find yourself, especially when you're starting, a nice wide lens to work with. I'm shooting on a Canon 7D, and I have a Canon 10-22. The reason why I decided to go with a Canon 10-22 mostly was because I've done some action filming in the past, and one thing I like about it is your depth of field is so heavy with it, you don't have to worry about focus. When you're running around with a Merlin, it is hard to focus. You're not really going to get any focus things, so you need to find your set and do that. I don't have a dedicated pull focus guy, so there you go. So I basically put my 10-22 on. I shoot it mostly about, the 10 gets a little bit of distortion if you get too close to people, so I like to move it maybe closer to the 22 range. That still gives me a nice wide depth of field, and I can basically run with the Steadicam on it like that. Once you figure out the lens and you've taken off the camera strap, the next most important thing is to figure out your weight for the camera. You can go to merlincookbook.com or just do a Google search for it for your lens and camera. It's a good starting off point. They don't have every lens that you're going to need necessarily, and even some of the information on there might not work specifically for you. But it's a good place to start to figure out if that's where you need to go one way or another. The real key for your Merlin is just, they call it the drop test, which is, you bring it up and it should take about a second to fall like that. You want it to be just slightly bottom heavy. So if you get that drop test, you're most of the way there, honestly speaking. What I did too to figure out my weight is I took my arc of the Merlin and I just opened it all the way. It was something that the arc on your Merlin is the only thing that's not really clearly marked about where you are, so I figured I just open it all the way. It's a good point. I always know where it is, and then I work my weights from there. For my 10-22 on my 7D, I have 2 mid weights and a finish weight, and then I have 1 mid and a finish in the middle. As I go on the O hole, and what it does is it distributes the weight over here very much to the other side of the camera so that you can get the battery and stuff and the CF card, which is on the left side or the right side of the camera. Kind of balances that all out. And then I actually, because I have a UV filter on the end of my lens, what I end up doing is I set my stage to -2. So I have an O hole -2. Now, one thing about the Steadicam that when I first started balancing it, just drove me crazy because I guess I just didn't take the time to read the instructions. I was too excited. Was the Z thing, and that is if you lift up the handle here, what you have, let me clear that, is on the bottom of the handle, right up here, you have a little button that you can turn and rotate this to lower your handle further up or further down, and that does a huge thing once you get the weight and your trim up here figured out. That does a huge thing in taking away, and if y'all have a Merlin, everyone out there knows it, it's that clock motion. So it's really, this thing right here really takes a huge amount of it once you get it weighted. If you're having too much swinging motion on the bottom, just go ahead, push that button, turn it counterclockwise, and it'll lower this thing down to help you out some. One thing also that I did that I found really helpful for me setting it up was when I got the Merlin stand that you can set it on, and which is fine, but there is a lot of you need to be able to play with this when you're setting it up to figure it out. So what I ended up doing was going to Academy Sporting Goods and getting just a real cheap catcher's vest like this, and I essentially took apart the stand and put it together in 2 units instead of 3, and then I just literally drilled the base plate through my thing here. So what happened is I could form a place to put my Steadicam on a stand, and this really helped me when I was balancing it. And if I'm having a long shoot or something like that, I like to put this on just to sort of give my arm a rest, because the Merlin will make your arm tired. That being said, when you're actually getting shooting, if you do something like this or make some sort of contraption like this, and I'll let you see that from the side so you can kind of see it, you might want to take it off just because it does get in the way of your Merlin sometimes, and you don't want that because when it bounces it makes all kinds of trouble. You know, your Merlin for the most part, you should be able to pop it in and out pretty fast. I like this, you know, sometimes it's fun for fast zoom to pop it in. You can move it side to side, you know, it should stay pretty steady. And, you know, that's pretty much the way it goes. What I've discovered is I like to actually keep it, my elbow kind of at a 90-degree angle. And that really helps when I'm shooting. But, you know, it's just a good thing. Take your 2 fingers, make a little claw, just like that you see everywhere. Lightly come on the top, and that allows you to turn. So, you know, if you are walking, you can turn. You can follow someone and follow them in like that and come back out. So I did find that to be super helpful. Yeah, that's pretty much the thing. Just remember, man, this thing is super sensitive. Your on-off switch will affect your balance. So I know a lot of times I'll be doing a shoot and we'll be taking a break from a set. We'll come back on. I'll pick up my Steadicam and it's not quite balanced. And I'm like, oh, wait, I forgot to cut the on switch back on before I balance it. And that makes a difference. So the last thing I would say, guys, that'll help you, it helped me when I was doing it, is when you sit down to balance your Steadicam, if you have an iPhone or any kind of video recorder on your phone, whatever your phone is, once you get the camera set, go ahead and record your settings. Just take your camera up, tell yourself what you did, and what you'll find later on is, especially if you start to get multiple lenses and stuff, you'll like to see a recording of what you did, and you can talk to yourself and do it. So I hope that helped, guys. I know, you know, there's been a lot of tutorials out there that have helped me with the Merlin, and hopefully that'll do it. I'll also post some footage just so you can kind of see what the Merlin Steadicam looked like for me on my 7D with my 10-22 lens. And okay, guys, good luck.